Let's move on to Donald Trump, because he may describe himself as winning, but he's not a winner with women, according to the polls. Almost half of Republican women say, that's Republican women, by the way, say they could not imagine themselves supporting Mr. Trump in a presidential election. Last week, he was abusing his opponent's wife. This week may not have helped. His campaign manager has been charged with battery for grabbing a woman journalist. And today he made some comments about abortion that have been interpreted as controversial.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
10 cents, 10 years,
I don't
what?
know. That I don't know.
Well, as it happens, that line was kind of dragged out of him by the interviewer. He had seemed very reluctant to go that far, and he has clarified his views since. But let's take stock of his appeal, or lack thereof, to women voters. I'm joined by Molly Ball, who's covering the US presidential elections for The Atlantic. A very good evening to you. And Molly, just on that, something of a muddle in his line on abortion tonight. What do you think he's thinking, and how do you think it's going to play?
Well, Donald Trump has been all over the map on abortion, and actually on a lot of different issues. He tends to do this. He tends to take starkly contradictory stands, sometimes even in the same breath. And I think this allows people who like him to sort of project and see whatever they want to see in him. In this particular case, after making the statement that you just played on the tape, he then issued a statement later saying the exact opposite, that in the hypothetical case that abortion were to be banned in the United States, it ought to be the people performing the abortions who would be prosecuted for that illegal act, and not the women who he described as the victims in this scenario, along with the life in their womb. Donald Trump has a history of being pro-choice, meaning in favor of abortion rights, and he has claimed that he had an epiphany sometime between then and when he decided to run as a Republican candidate for president. You really can't be a Republican candidate in this day and age and be in favor of abortion rights. But he says he has the same position as Ronald Reagan, which is pro-life with exceptions. He would make exceptions to allow abortions in cases of rape and incest and when the life of the mother is endangered.
Now, I'm assuming abortion, or his views on abortion, are not really what's driving these rather poor poll ratings for him, because Republican women are keener on Cruz than they are on Trump. So what, in your view, Molly, is it that women are not liking about Donald Trump?
Well, you mentioned a couple of his sort of greatest hits in terms of insulting women, but again, there's a whole litany of statements. I mean, he's been feuding with the Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly, who's one of the stars of conservative media, since the very first debate back in August, when she asked him a question about his offensive remarks about women over the years, and her very pointed question was, how are you going to appeal to women voters? He then went on television after that debate and insulted her, and they have continued to feud in the ensuing months. He frequently describes women in terms of their appearance and derides them based on their appearance. And I think a lot of women feel that that's not just insulting to those individual women, but to women as a whole, that he sees them as objects and that he doesn't take them seriously as people. So, you mentioned that half of Republican women don't like him, but it's about 3/4 of women in the general electorate, and in the United States in presidential elections, women vote at higher rates than men do. They're a majority of the electorate.
What is amazing is he really doesn't seem to try, does he? He carries on. He's got this form, this history. You'd think he might have learned his lesson and looked at the poll ratings and come up with something nice to say to women, but he really doesn't try. Why? What's going on in his head? Is he just too sure of himself, or does he think, I keep winning by breaking rules, so I better just keep breaking the rule in the hope that this will somehow pay dividends later?
Yeah, far be it from me to try to psychoanalyze Donald Trump. I don't think anyone knows what's going on inside his brain. But what I hear in talking to the people who support him is that they celebrate his willingness to say the things that other people won't say, that he's not bound by sort of political correctness. And I think there are a lot of people in this country, particularly men, who feel sort of hemmed in and emasculated by feminism and by the increasing equality of women, and feel that, in this day and age, you can't even tell a woman that she looks pretty without having people all over you. So that sort of, it's a sort of white male identity politics that Donald Trump is speaking to. But as you mentioned, he hasn't made any effort to broaden his appeal or to build bridges to people who aren't in that particular segment.
Okay, you've got 12 seconds to answer the question, will women vote for Hillary Clinton? I mean, does she grab women? I mean, are they all rallying around behind her?
That's obviously a big question, but one thing I think is interesting is that Hillary Clinton has not managed to rally women to her in the Democratic primary. In 2008, she ran very much as a sexless candidate. She's run much more aggressively this time on the idea of being a path-breaking first woman president. And what we've seen in her primary against Bernie Sanders is that women, particularly young women, have not flocked to her as a result.
Molly, thanks very much indeed. Thanks. Talk to you soon.